Have you ever wondered why the US, one of the most indebted countries, has a strong and stable currency? This, my friends, is an economic paradox that has piqued the curiosity of economists and casual observers alike. It's a bit like a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat, isn't it? You're left scratching your head wondering how that could possibly happen. In the world of economics, we usually have a set of expectations. In this case, it's the instinctive assumption that a country with high debt should have a weak currency and high inflation. After all, debt implies that a country is living beyond its means, borrowing to finance its lifestyle. This should, in theory, lead to a devaluation of the currency as more money is printed to cover the debt, causing inflation to soar. But as we look at the United States, the narrative seems to take a different turn. Despite being one of the most indebted nations, its currency, the US dollar, remains robust and stable. It's like watching a tightrope walker effortlessly balance on a high wire, seemingly defying the laws of gravity. So, what's the secret? How does the US manage to keep its currency strong while carrying a debt load that would sink most other economies? Is there a special economic recipe or a hidden financial magic trick that the US government uses to defy the usual economic expectations? These are the questions we aim to answer in our discussion today. We'll delve into the role of the US dollar in the global economy, explore the strength of the US economy itself, and take a look at the confidence that investors have in the US government. We'll also consider what lessons other highly indebted countries can learn from the US on how to manage their economies. So buckle up, folks. We're about to take a deep dive into the world of economics, currencies, and national debts. Stay tuned as we unravel this intriguing economic conundrum. At the heart of this paradox is the unique role the US dollar plays on the global stage. The US dollar, often denoted by the $, is more than just a familiar currency used by millions of Americans. It is in fact the world's primary reserve currency. Now, what does that mean? In the simplest terms, this means that many countries around the globe keep a stockpile of US dollars as a form of economic insurance. In times of economic uncertainty or instability, these countries can rely on their reserve of US dollars to help stabilize their own economies. This global demand for the US dollar in some ways acts as a counterbalance to the high levels of debt the United States carries. When countries buy US dollars, they're essentially lending money to the US government. This helps to keep the value of the dollar strong because there is always a demand for it. It's kind of like having a product that everyone wants to buy. Even if you're deep in debt, as long as people keep buying your product, you can keep your business running. The US dollar is that product on the global economic stage. Moreover, many international transactions, especially in commodities like oil and gold, are priced in US dollars. This creates a consistent demand for the currency, further reinforcing its value. But having the world's primary reserve currency is not just about economics. It also carries significant political weight. It allows the United States to exert influence over global economic policies and helps insulate the country from potential economic shocks. So the role of the US dollar on the global stage is multifaceted. It's not just a medium of exchange used within the United States, it's a powerful tool of economic and political influence, a safeguard against economic instability, and a counterweight to the country's high levels of debt. The dollar's global dominance gives it a resilience that other currencies lack. But it's not just about the dollar. The strength of the US economy itself plays a crucial role. Imagine the economy as a massive, complex machine with countless gears and levers all working together. In the case of the United States, this machine is vast and diverse, encompassing a wide range of industries from technology and manufacturing to retail and services. This diversity provides a level of resilience, as downturns in one sector can often be offset by growth in another. The sheer size of the US economy, the largest in the world, is also a factor. With a gross domestic product in the trillions, the US is a behemoth in the global economy. This enormous scale allows the US to bear a greater level of debt than smaller economies. It's like a heavyweight boxer able to absorb punches that would knock out a lighter opponent. But size and diversity are not enough. The US economy is also characterized by its dynamism and adaptability. This is an economy that constantly evolves, driven by innovation and entrepreneurship. It's an economy that can pivot, that can change directions when needed. This adaptability allows the US to weather economic storms and bounce back from downturns. The US also benefits from strong institutions, such as an independent central bank and a reliable legal system. These institutions provide stability and predictability, which are essential for economic growth. They also ensure that the government can effectively manage its debt. Finally, there's the US's access to capital. The country's well-developed financial markets and the attractiveness of US assets to foreign investors mean that the US can easily borrow money when needed. So the US's ability to carry a large amount of debt without it leading to economic instability is not a miracle. It's a result of the size, diversity, adaptability, and resilience of its economy, coupled with strong institutions and plentiful access to capital. The robustness of the US economy provides a buffer against the pressures of high debt. The world's faith in the US government is another key factor in this puzzle. Now you may wonder, why would anyone have faith in a government with such extensive debt? Well, the answer to that lies in the power of the US government's ability to tax, its political stability, and its impressive history of repaying debt. Let's start with the ability to tax. The United States has one of the largest economies in the world, and the government has the power to tax this vast economic activity. This taxation ability acts as a guarantee that the government has a steady stream of revenue to service its debt. Next, we have political stability. The US has a long history of stable government and established democratic institutions despite the occasional political turbulence. This stability assures lenders that the rules of the game won't change suddenly and their investments are safe. Another feather in the US government's cap is its history of repaying debt. In its more than 240 years of existence, the United States has always honored its debt obligations. Even in times of war or economic crisis, the US government has never defaulted on its debt. This track record builds a strong level of trust with lenders. Now, this confidence has a direct impact on the cost of borrowing. When lenders trust that they will be repaid, they are willing to lend at lower interest rates. This means that even though the US has a high amount of debt, the cost of servicing this debt is kept relatively low. So in essence, the world's trust in the US government, its ability to tax, its political stability, and its history of repaying debt all combine to reduce the burden of the government's debt. This faith in the US government's ability and willingness to repay its debt keeps the cost of borrowing low. So what can other highly indebted countries learn from the US? A question that rings louder as we delve deeper into the world of economics. The first key lesson is the importance of maintaining a strong and diverse economy. An economy that is not overly reliant on one sector or industry is more resilient to economic shocks. This resilience allows a nation to weather economic downturns and maintain stability, even when faced with high levels of debt. The US, for example, has a robust economy that encompasses technology, manufacturing, agriculture, and services, among others. This diversity provides a cushion against economic fluctuations and helps maintain the strength of the dollar. Secondly, building global confidence is crucial. Confidence in a country's economy, its political stability, and its ability to repay debt plays a significant role in the strength of its currency and its ability to manage debt. The US has, over time, built a reputation as a reliable debtor and a stable economy, which has helped maintain confidence in its currency and its ability to manage its debt. Lastly, managing debt responsibly is a lesson of utmost importance. High debt levels are not inherently a problem if managed properly. This means ensuring that debt is being used for productive purposes that will stimulate economic growth and generate future revenue. It also involves maintaining a sustainable debt-to-GDP ratio, which signals to investors and other countries that the debt is manageable. The US has been able to use its debt effectively to stimulate economic growth and maintain a stable currency. However, it's crucial to remember that each country's economic situation is unique, influenced by a myriad of factors, ranging from its natural resources to its political climate. Therefore, while these principles provide guidance, they must be adapted to each country's unique context. While the US's situation is somewhat unique, there are lessons here that can be applied elsewhere. These lessons, if applied wisely, can guide other nations towards economic stability, even in the face of high debt.